In this free course, I am going to show you how to use Instagram to sell digital products. Now, I've made over $17 million selling digital products. I just had my first $1 million month, and I'm going to share with you all the different ways I use Instagram to make a bunch of money selling digital products. It's a big fat course. Let's dive into it. As we begin, this is I believe, an 18-page outline of everything I'm going to teach you in this video. So we're going over a lot, but I will make sure you have everything you need step by step by step. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at this clipboard of notes. And I think the first thing you need to know is that we're going to be breaking this process of selling digital products with Instagram over a 7-day period. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here on day one is we are going to create a viral digital product. Now, why are we starting with creating a viral digital product? Why is that the most important thing? Well, honestly, it's because if we don't have an irresistible digital product, it will not sell well on Instagram. You're going to do everything else I'll tell you on all the other days, on day 2, on day 3, on day 4. But if you don't do the work to make this product irresistible, it's not going to sell well. And so we want to start here and then do everything else when we have a product that we know is actually going to sell. Basically, what I wrote here is that this is the difference between fighting your way upstream or floating down a lazy river in a tube. I want you to float down a lazy river in a tube. But the catch in all of this is that it takes experience to know what kind of digital product is going to sell well. And I want to share my experience with you because I've done this for a really long time. Okay, so for starters, we're going to talk about the 3 things every viral digital product counts. So 3 viral product, we'll just call it E's. If you don't have these 3 things, you will not have the digital product that does well. It's a guarantee. Okay? All right. 1, it needs to provoke curiosity. Now, I'm going to share some examples in a minute here, but if your digital product does not provoke curiosity, doesn't get people curious, they're not going to be interested to go down the other 2 things I'm going to share. And so I'll teach you how to provoke curiosity in a second here, but just know that if your digital product isn't getting you like, I want to know more about that, you're dead on arrival. Second thing is that you need to solve a hyper specific problem. So back in the day, long time ago, 2016, you could sell a course that was called redecorating your home or interior design or luck or wealth, and it would do well. Broad generic courses used to do really well. Now, if you're trying to sell a digital product, you have to solve a hyper specific problem. Very, very, very specific. Again, we're going to go into examples in a second here, but just keep that in mind that if your digital product is broad, it will go viral. Third thing is that it needs to promise the unbelievable. And I can't spell, so I'm just going to do my best to unbelievable. But it needs to promise the unbelievable. It does need to sound too good to be true, but here's the catch. You actually deliver on it. So you want to create something that you can truthfully deliver on, but it's so good, it's almost like there's no way she can actually do that. So these are examples. I'm about to give you some examples of products that my students have done in totally different industries that have made at a minimum $20,000. Some of these are over $100,000. I have other case studies on my YouTube channel that will show you like how well some of my students have done. But here's some examples. I'm just going to read off a list here. Okay, here's some examples of real viral digital products that achieve all 3 of these things. 1, how to elevate your entire wardrobe for $100 or less. So 1, that provokes curiosity. How do I elevate my wardrobe for $100 or less? 2, it solves a hyper-specific problem. It's elevating an entire wardrobe for $100 or less, meaning this is for people for budget. The problem that it's solving is I need to look rich, I need to look good, I need to look better, but I don't want to spend a ton of money. I only have $100. How in the world are you going to, that's a specific problem. And that leads me into the third thing, which is it promises the unbelievable. How in the freaking world is this lady going to take my wardrobe and completely elevate it for $100? A pair of jeans costs $100. if not more, right? So how is she going to do that? She does a great job. She talks in the actual course, in case you're curious, like she talks about little things you can do that make a huge difference. Like even like little things like don't ever leave your house with your clothes not being steamed. Make sure all the threads are cut off the clothes. She also talks about like if the $100, how to spend that $100 for the biggest impact. It's a fabulous course. It went super viral. It did really well. Two other examples, how to get 100,000 Instagram followers from 6 reels. Again, really cool. And then the other one is how to cook 30 healthy meals in 2 hours or less. So you're cooking 30 meals. And then her tagline was something like while spending, I think it was like less than $2 per meal or something. So like the sub headline was also really good as well. These were all very viral products that hit all three of those points, and they did really, really well. Now, here's an important point that most people will not teach, but I think is really important while we're on the subject of creating the product that goes really viral. You have to be an expert. If you want your product to do well, you have to be an expert. And a lot of people think, oh, but I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. Here's the honest truth. You are an expert. And I wrote down a couple of questions to ask yourself. If you want your product to go viral, you can't be a beginner in that topic. Now, you cannot be a beginner if you want your project to go viral. If you, whatever your topic is, you have to be an expert in it. I think sometimes people see products that other people do, like launch, that do well, and they think, oh, I'm going to make a product in that industry. Like you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe I can do a wardrobe product, but you might not be an expert in that. However, you are an expert in something. And so I have 4 questions for you to ask yourself as you're trying to figure out what am I actually an expert in? How can I actually create a product that goes viral? And here are the 4 questions. 1, what do your friends come to you for advice on? Your friends are in your family, they're your first marketplace. So the first indication of the problems that you can solve that will help society. 2, what are massive life accomplishments that you've achieved, things that you've done that you're proud of? What are some very difficult events that you've successfully gotten through? Like, I'm not going to make a course on this per se, but me navigating single motherhood very successfully is a difficult life achievement that I've done that I am an expert in and could make a course on. I'm in a different field, so it doesn't make sense for me, but we look for the difficult things that some people have like overcome chronic health issues. That's something you could make a course on. And then finally, what is something that you just seem to have a knack for? Something that just comes very naturally to you. One of my students, she had a very successful digital product teaching people how to plan inexpensive kids' birthday parties. Kids' birthday parties are notoriously expensive, and she was very good at creating these really good themed birthday parties really inexpensively. She had an app for it. So those 4 questions will help you get a sense of what am I actually an expert in? Because if you want a product that goes viral, you have to be an expert in it. Now, this is a very important point that most people miss, and it's a huge reason why their product doesn't go viral. You have to show the return on investment, also known as ROI. Now, people don't understand what I mean when I did it because they'll say, well, I'm not making a course on business. I'm not making a course on marketing on social media. How do I show a return on investment? This is what I wrote, and I want to read it verbatim. Even if you are in a money-making industry, you have to tie it back to how they're going to make more money or they're going to save more money. You write that down. There has to be a demonstration of the return on investment. So for example, how to cook 30 healthy meals in 2 hours or less. What could be some of the ways we can demonstrate that they're going to either make money or they're going to save money? How do we explain what the return on investment is? Well, meal prepping saves you money because you aren't door dashing. That one's an obvious one, right? But you're also saving time because you're prepping 30 meals at once. And time is money. If you're in like my field, I'm always going to make more money at your prime that I have. So if I were doing this, I would hit it on both angles. I would hit on the saving money angle. That's obvious. But I would also hit on the making money because time really is money. And if you meal prep, you're saving yourself time. Here's the thing. You should do this exercise on explaining the return on investment just so you are clear on what their return on investment is going to be in your digital product. you should go through this exercise just for your own edification. And if you can't articulate this, this is so important that you understand this point right here. If you cannot articulate how they're going to save money or how they're going to make money with your digital product, it will not sell. Because if you aren't clear on the ROI, they sure clear on the ROI and they're not going to buy. So this is a very important one. Now, there's two other very cool ways you can test if your product will go viral. Because you might be like, I'm so worried my product will go viral. So here's two tests to see if viral. Okay. One, you can go on Amazon, put in the broad topic of what you're thinking about making your digital product on. And then so you said go to Amazon and basically just search. And then what I wrote here is how many books, you want to basically see how many books there are around your proposed topic. So elevating your wardrobe on a budget, right? That's your topic. There should be at least 5 books. So 5 books or a total of 500 5-star reviews. Basically, that's a way of indicating that there's a demand, right? If there's not 5 books and there's not 500 5-star reviews, that tells you that there's not enough people who are actively trying to solve that problem. That would be a red flag. Second option is to go to YouTube and see what's out there around public. So go to YouTube. Now, I have some metrics that I think will help. Are there at least 3 people on YouTube that have channels of over 100,000 subscribers or more? So you have 3 channels with 100K subs. Again, what does that tell us? It tells us that this is a topic that people are wanting to solve. And then here's a pro tip. What questions are people asking in the comment sections of these YouTube videos? That will show you the gaps that those content creators have. Okay, finally, we have the 5 reasons most digital products flop. Basically, think of this as your lifeline to make sure your digital product doesn't do any of this, so you don't have a flop. Because there's nothing worse than doing all of this and then it flops and you're just like, oh my God, this was so much work for nothing. So 1, too generic / broad. This is the worst one. If your digital product is too generic, too broad, doesn't solve that hyper-specific problem that we talked about, it won't do well. Most people don't even get in the realm of hyper-specific. They might get somewhat specific, but usually they're not even close. That's your biggest offender. Second one, really bad too, is value isn't articulated. Basically, you are not doing a very good job of explaining what they're going to get and why it's a really good deal. That's really it. You're not articulating the value. You're not explaining why it's something they should get. People really struggle with this. This is why I talk about copywriting so much and I'm like closest on my videos, because people don't know how to write the copy. We're not born knowing how to write the copy. And so they really struggle to articulate the value of their product. And if they can't articulate it, the customers don't understand it until they don't lie. Big reason things flop. Third reason is the price is too high. This is a really easily solvable one. If you're just getting into this digital product space and you have no idea what to charge, charge $27. You can always go up. $27 is a really solid start. If something isn't selling for $27, it's not a pricing issue. We probably one of the other things. And so you can just eliminate a lot of other, you can eliminate pricing as a variable if you charge $27 for it. Okay. Number 4, problem. Is it a problem? And I'll explain what I mean by that. Sometimes people get an idea for a digital product that sounds exciting or sounds interesting or it's something they have a hobby on. And so they will make a whole digital product on it, and it won't be something that is an actual problem people are willing to solve. So it might be like, I'll just pick up a bit of example for you guys. I've seen that them come across in a desk there as well. It might be like, how to organize your adult coloring books. So someone might get really excited about adult coloring books. They might have a whole craft section. They love the way they organize their adult coloring books. Their friends and family have indicated that oh my God, I love how you set up your adult coloring book thing. And they're like, oh, this is going to be great. Which other people are going to want to know how to solve, like how to organize their adult coloring books. That's not a problem people are willing to pay to solve. If you're going to go through all this trouble to create a viral reply, let's make sure we're solving problems actually people are struggling, real things that they're willing to pay good money to solve. Otherwise, it's going to flop. Number 5 is they aren't flops at all. Okay, here's what I mean by that. They aren't flops at all. The marketing on them just sucks. We're about to get into a bunch of other marketing stuff, bunch of tactical automations, bunch of just a tactile whole bunch of stuff. And what people think of it, oh my gosh, my offer sucked. I had a really bad offer. It didn't do well. I need to switch it up and change to a totally different offer. The reality is your product is amazing. Your offer is incredible. The marketing on it sucks. And so keep watching. This is what we're going to help you fix. But for a lot of people, they have good offers. They just don't know how to sell it. So if you're checking, yep, I'm not too generic. My value, I did a good job articulating. My price isn't too high. The problem isn't a problem. I'm actually solving a real problem. But the skill flops, it's probably because you didn't actually flop at all. You just don't know how to market it. Good days is your year. That's day 1. All of that is day 1. Create a viral visual product. Day 2, I want to teach you some very important metrics that you need to track so you can make more money. Let's talk about metrics that you need to track. These are important numbers that matter. So we'll just call them metrics that matter. Now, these are really important because if you know these numbers, if you know what to pay attention to, you'll know if your business, this whole process of selling digital products on Instagram, you'll know that it's working. And if you don't know these numbers, you won't know if it's working, and you'll probably focus on the wrong things, which we don't want you to focus on the wrong things. So what I'm going to do in this section is going to be like a combo of teaching you some terms you need to know. So some terms you need to know, but also some tools you need, some tools I really recommend, so that you can actually make a lot of progress really quickly, which I'm guessing is what you want. So first thing, most important, number 1, something you need to know is something called high-ros. This is what I wrote for high-ros, okay? You really need software to know which pieces of content are actually selling your digital products. If you don't have this, I'm very passionate about this, because if you don't have this, you're literally shooting in the dark. And so this is a piece of software that will literally tell you which one of your reels, which one of your carousels are making you the most amount of money. And so I'm just going to give you an example of what I mean here, okay? So with this software, let's say I have 2 reels. Now, one reel maybe gets 10,000 views, and the other reel gets, let's just say, 100,000. Those content creators would be like, oh my gosh, I need to make more reels that are like the one that got me 100,000 views. So let me more, right? That's logical. It's like, oh, this is the one that's getting views and maybe more followers. Let me make more content like this. But here is my secret advantage. I will look at the software and I will measure it by an inner metric. I might see, oh, this one made me $736. This one made me 2,000, let's just say 550. That's why you need to have something like Hyros. Because now, and that's what that Hyros does, that process of telling me which pieces of content make me the most amount of money. They'll be like, oh, you got this many sales and this amount of money. So it might be like, let's just say, I don't know, let's just say 250 sales versus 700 sales, right? Or 70 sales, sorry. 70 sales. And so Hyros tells me this is the content you should make more of. This is the one that really matters. If you don't have this, you're just completely blind. You're shooting in the dark and you're paying attention to the wrong metrics. And let me tell you, you want to run a successful 8-figure business selling digital products, you got to be focused and you got to be drilled in and dialed in to the metrics that actually matter, which is why we're spending a whole day on it. Most people do not have data like this because they won't get a software like this. I recommend it all the time. And they won't get a software like this. And so they are creating all of this content and they're not making any money from it. And they're confused about why they feel like they're working so hard and spinning their wheels because they'll keep making content like the one that's making them $700 because they thought it got them more views. And so it was the better piece of content. I make more and more and more content that gets me more money and you get better at this. And so each piece of content starts making you more and more money. And that's why we started the whole day off with high risk. I think it's very important. Okay, second, really important metric here. Number 2 is views to comments ratio. I'm going to explain comments a little bit later in this video, or after you like in this whole thing, we're going to go into a little bit more. But here's the short version. When you're using Instagram to sell your digital products, comments equals sales. So the more comments you get, the more sales you make. Okay. So just file that away in your head for now. We're going to dive into it deeper one of these days, but just file it away in your head that the more comments you get, the more sales you make. And so a big part of this game of selling digital products on Instagram is getting more comments. This comments to views ratio basically looks at how many comments am I getting in comparison to the views that I get. So if I have 3 reels, what is my comments to views ratios on these reels? So how many views did I get? How many comments did I get? Now, I went back and I analyzed a bunch of my old reels, and I also analyzed a bunch of my students in a bunch of different industries. And on average, again, this is an average, but on average, everybody's views to comments ratio was about 1%. Some people that I analyzed had 1.25% to like 1.3%. But for the most part, it was 1%. Meaning, if a reel got 10K views, it got about 100 comments. If a reel got 1,000 views, it got like 12 to 14 comments. And so we're going to come back to this metric later, but this is something that's important for you to know, because if you're having a reel that gets 10,000 views and you're only getting 5 comments, that's something you need to work on, because our views to comment ratio is very important. And on average, it's about 1%. That's like the average. Okay, the third term, 3, very important thing for you to know and be paying attention to if you want to see big success. Like if you just want to make a few dollars here and there, you don't have to worry about this stuff. But I want you to make a ton of money selling digital products. And so I want to teach you things that actually matter. So AOV is average order value. Basically, how much on average does your customer spend when they purchase something from you? When they place an order with you, what is your average order value? As we go through this entire process, we see that come up more and more. I'm just going to share my numbers with you. My average order value, and someone that just had her first $1 million month, is $93 and what was it, 30 cents. Meaning, when someone buys from me, the total amount of their average order is right around $93. Now, kind of along those lines is our fourth and final metric that matters, which is LTV. That stands for lifetime value. So the lifetime value of the customer. Now, let's say we have a customer, this is Bob, and Bob buys from me, and order number 1 is $93. Well, Bob's going to buy from me again. And so he's going to buy from me again and he'd be again. A lot of my customers buy from me a lot. And so what is the lifetime value of Bob? Meaning, what's the amount that Bob's going to buy from me total on average across all my customers? That's your lifetime value. My lifetime value, I'm a relatively new business, so we expect this to go up over time. My lifetime value is $173.57. Now, that's low. That's a low LTV. Let me tell you like a crazy one. Starbucks. Okay, they've obviously been doing it for a while. They're freaking violin. Starbucks AOB is I think around $7. Being on average across all the stuff, all the orders, their AOB's around $7. Their lifetime value, so their LTV, you ready? Freaking nuts. It's $14,000. Meaning, on average, the lifetime value of a new Starbucks customer is $14,000. Over the lifetime of someone's life, they'll spend $14,000 at Starbucks, one $7 order at a time. So you see that difference, how again, I knew or learned, it's fine, but you see the difference, that disparity in a really big brand versus someone who's relatively small, 93 to 173. Now, my customers have only been in my life for like 2 years max, right? I'm so new that there hasn't been time to this LTV to accumulate. So over time, this will go up. But these are metrics that really matter when you're trying to scale a digital product. And think about this. I'm already 8-figure. I've done over $17 million in digital product sales with these numbers being what they are. Imagine as I get them dialed in. Okay, we are getting into the nitty gritty of Instagram marketing and selling digital products with Instagram. Let's go on to day 3, which is publish daily content to Insta. Now, this is a big day. This is where we start to actually monetize and sell our digital product. And so what I want to do is I first want to walk you through the basic flow of how I sell digital products with Instagram. Okay, so I just want to walk you through what the flow looks like. Okay, so you're going to start with a reel. And that reel is going to get a comment. And then we're going to break down every one of these, so don't worry. And then that's going to take you to we'll just put checkout page, C key. And then that's going to get you the sale. So when I say reel, by the way, it could also be story and it could also be carousel. This is the flow. This is how I made millions of dollars doing digital content on Instagram. I create content, which leads to comments, which takes you to a checkout page, which takes you to a sale. It's very simple, but it works really well. And so really, the only part that requires work, ongoing, consistent work, is in this content creation right here. I'm going to talk a lot about how to make this much more easy, much more hand-off. Everything else is completely automated, which we're going to get into in a little bit. So this is automated, this is automated, this is automated. And that right there is a huge part of the scalability of a business model like this, because the only thing that really requires attention is this right here. And like I said, there's ways to make it even easier and more hands-off. And so what I want to do is I'll have about creating content that makes money, and specifically creating reels that make money. I believe that we are so lucky to live in a time where we can make content for free and get sales for free. Do you understand that, like, back in the day, making money was from our content as regular people with little iPhones would have been totally inaccessible to someone like you and I, especially like for me as a woman. Ladies couldn't even get credit cards until the 70s. And even if we were so lucky, you have to pay millions of dollars in advertising to reach the same number of eyeballs. We now live in a world where anyone with an iPhone can pick up that iPhone, make content, which then creates comments, which can then be taken to a checkout page, which can then make sales. We are living in truly a golden era of opportunity. But just because you can doesn't mean it's easy. It's very important. I wrote down here that it's hypercritical that you create systems to get these reels out and this content out on a daily basis. And what I wrote here is that these systems will make content creation simple, straightforward, and consistent so that you continually have a flow of traffic coming to your checkout page, right? Because this is the linchpin. So if you don't start with here, you don't have any comments, which means no one's going to your checkout page, which means no one's taking sales. No one's buying from you. And so we have to figure out how to get systems in place how to make this more hands-off, how to make this easier so that this is happening very effortlessly or as effortlessly as possible so the rest of this can happen. Because if this stops, the rest of this stops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share what works for me. I've been posting very consistently for about 2 years now. I have almost 1 million followers on Instagram, and I've done it in a way that has felt honestly not just like sustainable, but enjoyable. I genuinely enjoy creating content on Instagram. It's fun for me. I really enjoy it. And I want to talk about what I did to make that happen. There's 3 things that work for me. So 3 things that work well for me. It's how I've been able to do this for a long time, make a ton of money from this. So basically, 3 things that work really well. So I put content out on a consistent basis. Number 1, I actually make money from my content. This is not a hobby. And if I wasn't getting paid to make content on Instagram, I would do it. Because I'm doing this, it's work, and I'm doing it because I want to get paid. And so what I wrote here is, as basic as it sounds, if I didn't get paid, I wouldn't post. It's not a hobby. So that's the first thing. It's just content creation works well when you're getting paid for it. 2, I don't have a lot of structure. So we'll just write like minimal structure. I wrote things like content pillars. I don't do things like this overly organized, structured stuff. That's always felt very heavy to me, very restricted to me. I'm a really big believer. Like, if it's not easy, I'm not going to do it. And so minimal structure has actually worked really, really well. I post what I feel like posting, and that makes me enjoy the process. And then 3, I repurpose a lot. I do it in a sneaky way, so you don't ever know that I actually have repurposed. So I do it really cleverly, which I'll break down in a minute here. But these 3 things have allowed me to build a massive following, which has been great. That's also really good. But maybe more importantly, actually enjoy the process of creating content. I love what I do. I love this. And I know a lot of content creators who get very, very burnt out because they aren't doing those things that are working well for me. Okay, now we're talking about repurposing hacks. I've got 3 repurposing hacks for you. It helps a lot because remember, why are we doing all of this? Because we're trying to publish daily content to Instagram so we can get more comments, so we can get more traffic, so we get more sales. And so if we learn how to repurpose in a way that's actually very effective, actually continues to get us more views, more followers, and more comments, here's a pro. 1, I duplicate every reel before I publish it. So I've got my reel created. Accurate my reel is really easy. They need like less than 10 minutes to create. But right before I go to publish my reel, I'll duplicate it and save it in the drafts. So anytime that, okay, I need a new piece of content, I will literally just go into my drafts, duplicate the reel again so I still have it, and then I'll publish it. So I get another piece of great content that already performed well. I know it already did well in like 3 seconds. Some of my friends, what they'll do is they'll like change out the video footage. I don't even do that. I literally just duplicate it. And then when I need another reel, I literally just repost it exactly the same. And the crazy thing is, it gets more views the second time around, changing nothing. And so it works. It's a very effective little hack. People aren't paying that much attention to what's going on in your account. And so I have yet to have someone ever, I published thousands of posts at this point. No one's ever said, you recall us and saying million. No one's even noticed. It's a great hack. 2, okay, you need to repurpose in this order. There's an order to repurposing that makes it really easy. So repurpose in this order. So this is the order to do it in, not just an order of like repurpose first in this order, but also like the ease of effort. It's the easiest thing to turn a caption into a carousel. Then it's actually fairly easy to turn a carousel into a story. It's more difficult to turn a good reel into a good carousel. It's all like the hardest level. So when you're repurposing, repurpose in this order, not just from like ease of like, it's easier to do it this way, but it's also just like a really small way to do it. So we do this all the time. We use our images for carousels. We'll use our images for stories. And we screenshot footage that we took for, just like B-roll on like my footage for my reels. And so we're repurposing the same footage. It becomes a reel as a video. It becomes a carousel. And then it will also become a story. And here's a pro tip. Use the app Tio look exactly what it looks like. Use the app Tio. It has really nice filters on it. It does a really good job sharpening. And sometimes when you screenshot videos, it can be a little blurry. And so there's a really good job sharpening it with one press of a button. It's a really fast way to add really nice coloring. I believe the one I use is called Balance. The filter that I use is called Balance. And so these repurposing hacks, something I use literally every single day as I create content. And it keeps it really easy. I have this saying, so if it's not easy, I do not do it. And by using these repurposing hacks, it's allowed me to very easily create content on a very consistent basis, which is exactly what the bullets here. I want to talk about a content schedule. I'm going to give you a recommended one. Now, I don't love content schedules in general. I think they can be very restricted, but sometimes people find it helpful to have a little bit of recommended structure so they have some sense of, okay, what should I be posting when? So I'm going to share this with you, and if it's helpful, use it. If it's not helpful, don't use it. Now, the most important thing with a content schedule, in really just content creation in general, is consistency. Okay. So we're going to write this in big fat letters, consistent. That's the most important thing. And it's the thing people really struggle with the most. And so what I've taught to my students is you have levels of a schedule. So if you're a beginner and you've never posted consistently for like 90 days in a row, you should be at level 1, which I'll explain in a minute. If you have posted consistently and you want to like step it up, then you get to move to level 2 and then so on for level 3. You have to do level 1 consistently before you get to move to level 2 or level 3, because consistency really is a muscle. And what people do is they'll start posting, they'll be all excited, they'll be all motivated, they'll be all like jazz, like the gym on January 1st, and then they haven't built the muscle of consistency, so they take on too much, and then they burn out. And I don't want that for you. It's also bad for your account to be inconsistent, your Instagram account. And so this is level 1. I know we'll explain the levels. Level 1 is one reel at 7 a.m. PST. So one reel every single day at 7 a.m. PST. Now, I have a ton of stuff that I've created, tons of resources to help you create reels quickly. You can do like 40 viral reels in an hour, really fast if you know what you're doing. And I share that really everywhere. And so your one reel every single day, I recommend you schedule it a few out at a time. So maybe like 2 or 3 out at a time. So you have like several days built up. You have a little thing. If you can't do that, you should not be worrying about level 2 or level 3. I recommend you do, this is what I teach my students, do level 1 for 90 days in a row consecutively. If you miss a day, you have to start at 0. And that's like, it's hard. That's discouraging. I've had students who are at like 67 days. They missed a day. They had to go right back to 0. But it's very important because it teaches you that your content schedule is non-negotiable. Remember, once we do our content, everything else happens automatically. The only godforsaken thing you have to do is post content on like a consistent basis. And so we have to learn that muscle. So that's level 1. Once you've done level 1 and you get to graduate, you get to move on to level 2, which is one reel, same time. Now, by the way, the time, 7 a.m. PST, we run thousands of experiments, thousands of different times. 7 a.m. PST is really good. We've tested across tons of industries and stuff. 7 a.m. PST, that's 10 a.m. EST, the time. So you have your one reel, same time, 7 a.m., and then you have one carousel at 12 p.m. PST. So one reel at 7 a.m., one carousel at 12 p.m. new. So now you have, again, by the way, this is the exact strategy that I followed when my Instagram account was at 0. I started back in April of 2023. No one was following me. No one knew who I was. Like I said, I'm almost at 1 million Instagram followers now. This is the exact schedule that I used and still use to this day. I still post, I'm up to level 3 and I'm actually at level 4, which I'll tell you about. But this is the same schedule. This is the same times I post. If you go to my account, you see that I got a carousel every day at 12, a reel, the whole 9 yards. So once you've done that for another 9 days, again, consecutively, then you go to level 3, which is one reel, same time, one carousel, same time, and then you're going to do one reel at 5 p.m. PST. You kind of like hitting your evening people. So you're hitting your West Coast evening people, but you're kind of like nighttime East Coast people. So it's basically now you're 2 reels and 1 carousel. Now I'm at level 4. I get a lot of testing. Level 4, in case you're curious, is 3 reels, 1 carousel. And the reels are 7 a.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and the carousel's still at me. So 1 carousel, 12 p.m. PST. That's the schedule. Work your way up. Please understand that, like any other skill, this gets easier over time. So I always have a saying, what once felt impossible now feels obvious. For me, posting every single day felt impossible. Now it's obvious. Of course, if you want a business like this, the one hand-on thing is the thing that drives the traffic. Everything else gets to make it possible. We're about to go to audition, we're about to power all this. But this is the one thing that you have to be consistent with because it's the thing that creates the flow for everything else to be very hands-off and very automated, which we're about to get into. But we're being into day 4, which is where we actually convert these Instagram people, these our viewers, these Instagram traffic into buyers. So that is day 4. Getting very excited. So a couple of things we need to talk about. Most of this day is focused on your checkout page. You need a checkout page that is specifically created to turn Instagram viewers into paying customers. And there's a lot of intentionality that goes into that. Most people don't do that. And that's why they'll get a lot of people going to their, if they even get this far, most people, if they even get as far as getting people to go to their checkout page, they don't set it up right. And so they use a lot of sales and they a lot of money on the table if you don't offer you. So let's talk about how to build a checkout page that converts Instagram traffic into buyers. Step number 1, we build all of our checkout pages with the software Samhart. So I have been with Samhart since 2014, so a very long time. And they're great people, but more importantly, like I like great people, but I use software to make money and they make me money. Here's why. My average conversion rate is 6%, meaning if 100 people go to my checkout page, 6 people will buy. Some of my pages are as high as 25% the Samhart, meaning if 100 people go to my checkout page and it's built on Samhart, I can make up to 25 sales out of those 100 people. The average is 1 to 2%. That's bad. That means if 100 people go to your checkout page, you might only get 1 or 2 sales. When we're in the business of selling digital products that are low ticket, we need numbers. We need volume. This stuff matters. And so I'm a big believer in Samhart. Even just the average conversion rate, that's 6 times, because that's 3 to 6 times the average. So I'm a really big believer in building your checkout page on Samhart. I think that's really needed. Now, while we're on the topic of a checkout page, I want to talk about 5 things I've noticed about Instagram buyers. So 5 things about IG buyers, meaning, I work with a lot of students across a ton of different industries. I've coached a ton of students over a ton of different industries. And there's things we've noticed about Instagram buyers specifically that we don't really like. They're just specific to Instagram buyers, basically. And so we want to take them into account so we can make sure our checkout pages handle these things. So 1, Instagram buyers skim before they read, meaning they just skim. Like, really? They're just skimming. So if your checkout page is very text heavy, you're using a sale. Along those lines, readability is make or break. It's not just readability, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit here. It's not just readability in terms of like visually easy to read, although that's extremely important. It's also readability and they can understand what you're saying, which I'll talk about in a little bit. 3, social proof, which again, I'll talk about again and a little bit here. But social proof needs to happen immediately. As soon as they get to the checkout page, they need to see social proof. And then 4, friction in the checkout page, meaning like things to keep them provide and knowing things like it's not working well, not flowing well, drinking a long time to load. Friction kills impulse actually more to price dust. So when you're in the low ticket digital product space, you're in the impulse purchase stage. And really people are like, oh, it's $27. What do I have to lose? You're in the impulse purchase business. And friction, making it hard for them to check out, kill that impulse more than the price sets. Finally, kind of along those lines, but it's important so get film one. Check out page speed. Well, I used to be a website designer back in the day. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I used to design a website. And so I understand how important it is for a page to load quickly, especially in this day and age where we have a zero attention span. We need immediate gratification. And yeah, I'll review students' checkout pages, and the first picture of the product takes so long to load. I want to click away and I have to review it because I gotta look at it. But if I'm a potential customer, I'm clicking away. And you're losing a ton of, think about the process you just took to get someone to go so far down your funnel that they tweaked your checkout page, and then you make it take a long time. Failure. Kind of along those lines, back to the readability. I want to flesh that out. Right, this is what we're at, right at the fifth grade level. What does that mean? It means 1, use simple words. Simple words. 2, don't assume that people understand your industry jargon or your industry references or your industry language, right? Basically. And then 3, run your copy through a readability test. So if you go to Google and you're readability test, case the text you have on your checkout page in that readability test, and it'll give you a score of what grade level you're writing for. Most people are writing at the collegiate level. They're writing at an academic level, but not everyone, a lot of people don't read at that high of a level. And so if you're writing at the 5th grade level, it not only forces you to do a better job writing because you have to simplify concepts, but it ultimately makes your potential customers not feel dumb, not feel inadequate, which means they're more likely to stick around. You don't want to lose a sale because someone doesn't understand the meaning of a word needs. So write at the 5th grade level. Now I give you 2 pro tips. If you want to get more people to buy, come to your checkout page. You want to get more people to buy. Here's 2 pro tips. 1, you got to make 2 things very, very clear. Let's just put if you want sales. Make it very, very clear what they are going to get and why they need it now. So 2, why they need it now. In other words, you have your price to value ratio and you have your urgency. If people don't understand why they're getting a good deal, they will buy. If people don't understand why they need it right now, it doesn't have that urgency, they won't buy. And so I'll go to people's checkout pages sometimes and I'll take a look at it. I'll be like, why would first of all, what am I getting? I don't even know what the hell I'm getting when I buy. But then secondly, you haven't given me a good reason to buy now. And if people can put off a purchase, they will. And so we got to hit the urgency angle and we got to hit the price to value ratio. You will see an increase in your conversions if you do that. Okay, finally, I want to teach you about this really important concept, continuity. Okay, basically, I know this is graphic files, is a thing set up. If you imagine someone going through your digital product funnel, first they see an Instagram reel, then they get sent a little automation, which we're going to talk about next. Then they get taken to the checkout page, and then they get the product. There needs to be continuity between all of these, meaning using the same language, using the same words throughout the entire process. And so I wrote here, and I'm going to give you an example. You want continuity from one piece of copy to the next. So the caption, the automation, the checkout page all need to be saying the exact same thing. So if my caption says, comment the word guide to get my guide to selling digital products on Instagram, the automation needs to say, click this link to get my guide to selling digital products with Instagram. Then the checkout page needs to be, are you ready to unlock my guide to selling digital products on Instagram? An example of the opposite with that would be someone's comment guide to get my resource on selling digital products. But then the automation says, are you ready to start your automated business? It's actually the same resource, but they didn't use the same language. And so people get confused and they about sent a different thing and they don't click to the next step. Now, let's say I have Like, let's say you did it right to the automation. So you have the caption saying guy and the automation says guy, but say you get to the checkout page and now it's not saying how to sell a digital part of Instagram. It's saying, work with me to scale your business in a hands-off way. You as the business owner might think you're saying the same thing. But if I'm a random visitor on the page, I think I sent the wrong check. I don't think I'm in the right spot and I'm in a click away. And so it's very important that in your language, in the copy, you have continuity from one thing to the next and you're using the exact same language because people are just scrolling as they're in line at the grocery store. They're not paying that much attention to your stuff. They're just bored. They're killing time. That's how you need to think about the stuff that you're putting out. And so you have to do all the legwork to keep them engaged, unconfused, clear what's going on. And a big part of that is continuity. I don't want you losing any traffic. I don't want you losing any sales because you lack continuity from one part of the funnel to the next. Day 5, let's talk automations. Day 5 is all about automating your Instagram, so automating IG sales. Now, I've been doing this for a really long time, like 2013. And so this thing that is automated, we used to do manually. So all of these links that get automatically sent to people to automatically go to your checkout page so you can automatically make sales, we used to have to do it ourselves, which is what I did for a long time. And some business owners that I know would hire virtual assistants that would work in these 8-hour shifts to kind of round the clock send links to checkout pages or offer pages or whatever it was. And so to me, as someone that's been doing this for a very long time, it's amazing that we have access to software that automates this. I mean, it created all these issues having to do it manually. You would get blocked because you were sending too many comments or too many links or whatever. It was a nightmare. And so if you are new to this space, you probably don't appreciate how lucky we are to live in a more modern era where we aren't manually doing this process. This is really where the whole hands-off income comes in because once you've created the content, which we did here in day 3, all of this happens automatically. This is all automated. And that's kind of new in the last few years. And we're so lucky. So I want to share with you 3 things people get wrong about automations and just how they think about automating incorrectly, and then how you should actually think about like truly automating Instagram buyers. And if you look on my YouTube channel, you'll see that I had case studies from students who would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in all different kinds of industries doing this exact thing. So I really want you to have a lot of confidence that this is something that's actually very possible and is worth learning how to do. Because a lot of, just like I would say healthy skepticism, like, will this really work for me? If you doubt that, go to my YouTube channel and look at my case studies. These are people who are from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all ages, all industries, thriving. So let's talk about things people that well. 3 things people get wrong about automations is it should be fancy. You think, oh, my automations have to be very fancy, like snazzy, sophisticated. They also think it should be tech heavy with a lot of integrations. And you see on YouTube, videos will blow up and go viral, teaching people all these very complicated automation processes, and it looks so sexy. It looks so cool, but that is a bad automation. If you have it, it's very complicated, it has a lot of integrations. It's actually a less great automation. And which kind of goes on to the third thing, which is they think it should have millions of iterations and segments, basically meaning this automation should do 100 things. People think that, and they could not be more wrong. What actually is true is that a good automation is very simple. It should be very seamless with as few integrations as possible, and it should be very clean. And so I want to show you what a lot of people's automations look like versus what your automation should look like. So this is most people's automations. You see how it kind of like branches off, and then they'll have this one, which goes to this. And like maybe they'll have 6 softwares in here. Let me tell you what happens. If this breaks, all of this breaks. If this breaks, all of this breaks. If this little software stopped working here and it was talking to this guy and this guy, your whole thing is so easily broken when you build a like this. It's very messy. You want to see how I build like 99% of my automations? And that's where I meet the money. So really, I build automations like this because I'm not very tech savvy, and this is about all I know how to build. However, I have learned at scaling. It's all I've had Literally, I've had over hundreds of thousands of people go through my automations. And guess what? They don't break. When you have an automation like this and you send 100,000 people through it, it breaks 100% of the time. Something like this is very simple. In case you're wondering, this is a comment. So they comment and they get taken a link to a checkout page. And that happened automatically. Very simple. I've had automations that look like as I pay people to build one for me, rope every time, and were an absolute disaster. And so what we really only need is you need a software to reply to your comments automatically on autopilot so you make sales as soon as you publish your reel. This is as far as you're going to be automating things. Keep it very simple. The software that we use and recommend, you may have heard of it before, the one that does this for me is a software called ManyChat. ManyChat, there's a lot of really good things about ManyChat. One of them is it's partnered with Meta, with Instagram specifically. And so first of all, it works, which like not all of these crazy ones don't always work, but it also is very easy to set up. And they know that average content creators are using it. And so they do a very, very good job in here, very easy to set up. When you go to set up your automation, literally you'll just say, when someone comments, I'll just show you. So here's how ManyChat looks. So someone's going to comment a keyword on an Instagram reel or an Instagram carousel. So they'll comment a keyword. Now, the automation that I have built will automatically send them a DM, a direct message that gives them a link to the checkout page that they ask for more information about. So I could have said like, comment guy to get my guy to selling digital products with Instagram. So they'll comment the word guy. ManyChat, this software, will automatically know to send them this link because of the simple automation that it does. And then people will click that link that got messaged to them and get taken to the checkout page. All of this happens in a very simple ManyChat automation that looks like this. This is the DM. This is the checkout page. That's it. And by the way, in case you're kind of wondering, just to circle all of that so you know how it talks about Kairos, I have a special code by every one of these links that tells me this person clicked this link here. And that's how we know this piece of content may be money. So that kind of just tied up to that's how that works. Now, this is simple. Sometimes when I teach this, people are underwhelmed because they were expecting something that looked like the big, messy automation from before. But what you need to understand, again, like I have truly hundreds of thousands of people to go through my automations. It's really good that it's this simple. A, it's easy to build, and B, it's easy to scale. And that's the only kind of business I'm trying to run. And so I have 5 pro automation tips for you. Okay, let's start about 5 pro automation tips here. Number 1 is it's not simple. I'm not doing it. Number 2, this is worth mastering. So it's worth setting this up. A lot of people really limit themselves and think that they'll have what it takes to do automation. All my kids say it's not, first of all, it's not hard to master. And 2, it's worth. This is worth setting time learning. It's a really good investment in your time and money. 3, concentrate on volume. This is just like good advice for anything as it goes to the low ticket digital product world. The secret to your success selling digital products is volume. Concentrate on volume, getting as many people through that as humanly possible. 4, pay attention to continuity. You know what that is now. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's worth to continuity. It's worth saying then this matters. I've seen so many people get through some stage of the funnel and fall off because they didn't eventually continuity. Not going to be you. Not on my watch. And then number 5, okay, this is important. The keyword matters. So we've been talking about how you're going to have people comment a specific keyword, comment about the body, but using examples. I'm going to give you a pro tip. These are pro tips. Here's a pro tip. The keyword they comment should be aspirational. It should be something they aspire to be or have. So you should never have someone comment, like let's say you're in the finance world. Never have someone comment debt because people know UPC comments. So no one's ever going to publicly admit that they're in debt by commenting a keyword debt. Instead, have them comment wealth. I had a student who helped people pick their affairs in a marriage, and she was having people comment affair. And I'm like, no, you need to comment love. You need to comment heal. You need to comment relational. You need to can people, no one is commenting affair in a public platform. That's a topic they want to keep private, and that's fine. But you have to think about like your keyword matters. I better Bill had people commenting like who because she was like a gut health person. Like, girl, no one's commenting who on your stuff. Like, do guts, do health. Like, you got people just think that way. And so your keyword is worth it. It's a pro tip worth mentioning. The keyword matters. Be mindful of what you're having the comment recognizing on a public platform. And even the act of commenting itself can be the beginning of identity shifts. So make aspirational. Day 6, leveraging social proof. So you've heard social media. I want to teach you about social proof, okay? So we'll just put social proof. Social proof, especially when you're in the world of selling digital products to people from Instagram, is very important. The definition of social proof, in case you aren't exactly sure what social proof is it's things that you do to make people feel safe to buy from you. People actually, especially if they're strangers, maybe they've seen a few reels, they're new to your world, they need to feel safe to buy from you. And so there's a lot of things we can do on the checkout page through the experience to really emphasize and dive deep into social proof so that people feel like buying from you is a really good decision. And it's such an important thing that I wanted to spend a whole day on this because I think I see a lot of people lacking social proof, not even knowing they need to have it on their checkout page and really not understanding why they're not getting sales is because they're missing social proof. There's 5 big reasons I focus a lot on social proof. I'm just going to read them off the list because I think they're important. And then we'll talk about the 3 ways that you actually can build social proof. So, big reasons. 1, it gets new people eager to buy from you. Social proof turns people who are new buyers, it makes them not just like, I might buy, they're eager to buy from you. They're excited, they're hot. And that's a big difference in your conversion rate. Remember how I said I have a 6% conversion rate? Part of it is I know how to get people who are brand new to my world very eager to buy from me. Second thing, good social proof, when done well, shows that other people have trusted you. That's a really important thing. We're going to talk more about that. But humans are herd, like we have herd mentality. We don't want to separate from the herd. We don't want to do something wrong. We don't want to fall off the beaten path, really. And it happens a lot more like subconscious buyer behavior than you would know. And so when you leverage social proof correctly, people see that other people have trusted you and it makes them more likely to trust you as well. And then, like I said, it also turns, and this is an important distinction, it turns cold traffic into burning hot buyers. So a lot as you scale, as you sell more and more digital products, more and more of your potential buyers and eventually real buyers are going to be from cold traffic. People who have just heard of you, people who don't even know who you are really. And so social proof helps go from cold to hot. And the more you get into the marketing world, the more you understand like what a cool thing that is, or what an important thing that is. Social proof also accelerates the way they trust you. So there's 2 ways people go about it. They might say, okay, I'm gonna take 90 plus days. I'm gonna really like cultivate trust. They use phrases like nurture. Have you ever heard the phrase nurture before? They do all these things to nurture. And that's fine. It's effective, but it takes a long time. I really like using social proof to get the sale faster, to turn that cold person into a hot buyer. And so social proof accelerates trust, which we really want. And then finally, when you've done all of that, you get more sales without needing more traffic. So if I am really good at leveraging social proof, I'm going to get more customers from that same like 100 people that view my checkout page than someone else might, which means I get more sales without needing to get more people commenting and more people, coming to my checkout page. Again, that's more bang for my buck. That's what I want. So I'm getting more sales with the same amount of work. So social proof matters, basically. Let's talk about the 3 ways you do this. So 3 ways, and anyone can build social proof, even if you're just getting started. 1, your own expertise and credibility. 2, your results and testimonials. We'll talk more about that one. 3, software like use proof. And I'll tell you what that is too. Okay. So build social proof with your own expertise, your results and testimonials, and software like use proof. What I want to do now is I want to actually break down each one of these to help you just kind of understand how to actually do this in your business. Let's start with your own expertise. So a lot of my students think that they're not an expert. They don't have credibility. They don't have that. But actually, that's not true. Just because what they'll do, basically what my students will do is they will look at my social proof. They will look at, oh, Maria, you have made $1 million in a month. You're running an 8-figure business. You've made 17. They'll look at, like, you have a ton of Instagram following. They will look at my social proof and feel like they don't have social proof like I do. But they're thinking about it wrong because they're comparing it to the wrong thing. Unless they're in like a business field, they shouldn't be comparing their success of their new business as the metric for expertise and credibility. They should be looking to their knowledge in the field and their experience. Now, if you have someone who's brand new and has never been successful at business, trying to teach business, then yeah, that's weird and obviously ineffective. But all as someone who's like an incredible relationship coach, she's so good at helping people like reconnect or like get the spark back or like whatever it might be. And she'll be like, oh, but like I don't have a ton of customers yet. It's like, fine, no one's judging you on the success of your business yet. They're judging you on the success of how many couples or your ability to have good relationships, even with your own husband. That could be it. And so it's social proof in your field versus social proof in your business. Other thing is, to someone who hasn't even taken the first step, if you're 5 steps further, that's incredible to someone who hasn't even taken step 1. To someone who can't even walk around the block, running a 5K is incredible. But when someone's running a 5K, they're comparing themselves to marathon runners. And so it's way more effective as you're learning how to tease out your own expertise, because that's a skill, learning how to talk about your own credibility and your own expertise. As you're learning how to do that, don't so much pay attention to where it is you want to go. Pay attention to where you've been and where you are now. And that gap is where your expertise lies. The other thing is your story as it relates to what it is you're selling, as it relates to what if you do. That's important. If you and most people who are in the field are in the field for a reason. Someone who launches a digital product called How to Recreate All of Your Favorite Fast Foods from scratch, but make it gluten-free, clearly someone has gone through having to become gluten-free, right? And there's lots of people like that. Someone who elevate their wardrobe for $100 went through that. So your own story so often actually creates a lot of credibility, but people are shy to share it or they don't know how to share it in a way that actually builds up their expertise. But expertise is a very important way to build social proof. And, we're going to go into result and testimonials. If you don't have customers yet, you probably can't do number 2. You only really do 1 and 3. So you got to learn how to do 1 well. And then eventually you'll get students and you'll get results and you'll get testimonials and then you can do all 3. But you have to learn how to do 1 well so that you can get to number 2. Which brings me to number 2. And I want to results and testimonials are done wrong most of the time. So your results, your testimonials, like your students, the people, your customers, what people do all wrong. They'll take screenshots that are really long and just throw them up like checkout. If it's worse and we don't even have that, they'll just write really long written testimonials that their customers wrote in. They're like copying and pasted from an email or whatever. In today's era of the required social proof, in order to get a sale consistently, you can't have written testimonials that ChatGPT could have written. No one's trusting that. Screenshots are slightly better, but screenshots can be completely recreated from scratch. They're just not very effective. And so what I've learned over the years, I've put testimonials for 2 years now, and what I've learned is that the more effort you put into collecting your testimonials and displaying your testimonials, the better it will do, the more effective it's going to be. So let me give you examples. Okay, so I did 5. I kept getting better at it. So I started off with written testimonials. Just people say, Marianne's the best and she was so helpful. Just written out, typed out. That's fascinating. Then I moved to screenshots. That's slightly better. Someone actually a picture of someone who wrote, Maria was amazing, and take a screenshot of that comment. That's slightly better. Then I started summarizing the screenshots with one line of text. So if I had a really long screenshot and the student was saying like, oh my gosh, I started spending $5 a day on ads and that strategy worked so well for me and I turned that $5 into $700 in a day. I would put one line of text that said, my student Annalise made $700 and the first day was my strategy. And then I would put the picture. So you have one sentence summarizing the screenshot. That's a step better. If nobody's reading a screenshot that's this thick, filled with text. So you're kind of pulling out the nugget and you're summarizing at the top. That's better. Then I really leveled up last year and I started writing up case studies, fleshing out the details of each testimonial. People are very interested if he says. So take a screenshot and I would interview the student and I would get a sense of like where they were before they took Maria's courses, where they were after they took Maria's courses, and really just telling the story. And now I compiled 20 of those case studies into a PDF and I gave it away for free and had to the means it. I was really, really about. Finally, is the new thing as of the last month or so, what I started doing of actually bringing my students to a studio in Newport Beach and interviewing them, their whole story. So they tell me where they were before they found me, where they were after, and we're literally sitting in a room together sharing the story. Those are doing phenomenal. We can write ads to that. It's just great material. Now that's the highest form of effort too, right? So it's you work your way up the chain of testimonial effort. But that's working really well for me. And my target is, because I have like almost 100,000 students at this point. And so I want to get 100 students this year out to my studio to be my success stories, to be featured on my channel and like all of that, just celebrate their win. So when you inevitably become a success story of mine, reach out to me so we can film each other in the studio. We can share your success stories. I'm trying to get 100 in a year. Important note here, we have an email automation that allows us to collect testimonials automatically. So a few days after they buy, you reach out to them and we say, hey, hope you like the product. What did you think? Please leave us a review here. Please leave us an honest review. Tell us what you really thought. We really want to get better, but wasn't great. Like we do a really good job of making sure we get their honest feedback. And then we say, is a thank you for your time. You'd like to gift you a $10 store credit to the store. We make it very clear they can leave us a 1-star review and they're still going to get their store credit. We publish all the stars. So it's not like we're just sitting here throttling our, we publish 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, we most of it for I-stars. But still, like if we get a 1-star review, we'll publish it because we really want people's honest feedback on our products. That's important to us. And we do that all automatically. So we built step in place to automatically collect those results and those testimonials. Now, before we moving this to number 3, you collecting testimonials, case studies, that may come later. You're probably just getting started. And most of you watching this are just going to be getting started. You don't have any customers yet or very few, and that's okay. I also at one point started and didn't have a single testimonial. Not one person had ever had any experience with me in a professional manner. So I started with 0 testimonials too. And you can leverage 1 and 3. I'll talk about 3 in a second here. It's okay. Like don't stress, put stress if they don't like there's so many other ways you can leverage social proof and eventually you will get number 2. Final. Let's talk about use proof. So this is a software that we use that creates a little pop-up at the bottom left of a checkout page. By the way, you can get started to that probably down. At the bottom left of the checkout page, and it lets people know that other people have purchased this product and when they did. So if you're on a page, you're like, oh, you're looking at my like viral Instagram templates. That's a product that a lot of people like. It's a templates to go viral on Instagram. And I'd be like, oh, Sarah from Minnesota just purchased the viral templates 5 minutes ago. Then the software will like get the pop-up down. And then a new one will pop up. And it'll say, Jane from Idaho just bought them 12 minutes ago. And so it flips through all the customers that purchased this product. And what that does, that's so important, what this does is it helps satisfy our desire as humans to be in a curve. We don't want to be outliers. And so a little social proofing like that pops up and tells people, oh, this is a safe product to purchase. Other people have purchased this and you're good to purchase this. Other people purchase it, you're in good company. And we as humans don't want to separate from the herd. And so it helps people feel safe. That's the whole point of social proof. It helps people feel safe to trust you, safe to buy. Now, about use proof, some people ask, like, does it actually work? Like, is it really that good? Well, I'll tell you a story. We built a few checkout pages a couple of years ago, and for the life of us, we could not figure out why our conversion rate was so low on those pages. These 3 pages, they're so low. But we have good conversion rates, and it was so low. And then we realized maybe 2 weeks later that we've forgotten to install use proof. So we install use proof on all 3 of those pages, and immediately the checkout page conversion rate bumps up to what we normally expect from a checkout page. And so that was such a defining moment for us in recommending software like UseProof because we were so frustrated. We were like, is the copy wrong? What do we do wrong? Like, we looked at everything and like, this is exactly how we always do it. And it's so much lower than it normally is. And it's on all 3 of these pages. Why is it not? So it was this, we were so bothered by it for like 2 weeks. And then we realized, oh my gosh, we forgot to install UseScript even though a plugin. We forgot to add the plugin. You add the plugin, I think we woke up the next day or a few days later and it was fully back to where it normally was. And so ever since then, it was highly recommended UseScript because if I'm sending all that traffic to a page, I want to get the most amount of sales as possible. Guys, it's day 7. We did it. Let's land this plane. Talk about day 7, which is getting more money per customer. Okay. Here's the thing. When you are in this digital product, low ticket space, you need to learn how to get more money per customer because this is where your profits are. This is what I wrote. I said, if you want to see significant success in the low ticket digital product world, you need to learn how to get more money per customer. And there's 3 reasons why this is so important. 1, this is where the majority of your profits come from. 2, this is truly the difference. And we've seen this over and over again in our business, the difference between getting like $24 per customer and $400 per customer. People do not understand. They'll see the front thing that's $27 and be confused on like, how are you getting $1 million business selling $27 products? But do you remember when we talked about our average order value? The average order value wasn't $27. The average order value was $90. That difference, taking an average order value from $27 to $90, that difference of like $60, that's my profit. Which brings me to the 3rd reason, which is this is the difference between you taking home $2 per customer to your bank account or around 381 customers home, right? Dollars profit home to your bank. Meaning, let me say it again. Which brings me to number 3, which is this is the difference between you taking home $2 in profit per customer versus like $380 in profit per customer. So you do all this work. If you do not understand how to get more money per customer, you will not have a very profitable business. And most people who have tried low ticket digital products have not understood how to do this correctly. And they're so confused about how I'm able to have the level of success I'm able to have with a low ticket business. It's because I understood the importance and the mastery of getting more money per customer in a way that feels really good. Like not like I'm squeezing the juice out of people. It's a win-win. I'm very big on that. But you got to learn how to do it. It's just smart business. It's a good idea. So let's talk about how to do this. There's 4 ways you get more money per customer. And I'm going to walk you through all of them. 4 ways to get more. Okay, we're going to find all of these, but I'm just going to write numbers. 1 is with order bumps. 2 is with upsells. 3 is with downsells. And 4 is with cross sells. Now, you don't know what any of these are. That's okay. A lot of people don't. Let's define all of these. Order bumps, when you're on a checkout page and there's a little option towards the bottom of the checkout page to add something additional to your order, at that point of checkout, that is called an order bump. It literally bumps the order of your total. So if I'm drawing the checkout page, let's say the checkout page looks like this. Here's your credit card information. And then you'll see something that usually looks like this. And you get a little product and then like a little bit more information about it. If you start getting that out of e-commerce websites, you'll see it all the time. You have the option to check that box and add that to your order. And it literally bumps your order total up, usually by at least the value of the initial product. So if I'm charging something, $27, the order bump will typically be at least $27. So you're automatically, for every person that chooses that, you're doubling your order value. And about 50% of people in our world choose to buy the order. I'm talking about how to get them to like really want it in a second here. Now we have upsells. Upsells happen after they've purchased the initial thing, before they click away from the entire page. So once they fully check out, they're taken to the next page and they have the option to buy additional products. So you might have like like for me, if I go to like skincare websites, I'll buy my skincare, I check out. The page will say, thank you for your order. And then I'll have the option to buy that skincare thing in bulk or add an extra exfoliator. I've already purchased the order. It's no longer an order bump. It's now moved into a post-purchase, a post-purchase purchase, which is an upsell. So that's an upsell, right? It might be like, get a 6-pack of the skincare for 50% off, right? That might be the upsell. Now, you have something, if I say no, that takes you to the downsell, which is, oh, you didn't want that thing. Let me offer you something less expensive or with less quantity. So if I said, no, thank you, I don't want to get 6 batches of the skincare for 50% off, it might say, oh, do you want 3 of the skincares for 50% off? So they're downselling. They tried to upsell. A lot of times that works. Much less frequently, by the way, than the order bumps. So lots and lots of people take order bumps. About 30% of people take the upsell, so it's way less. And then even less people take the downsells because if they already said no once, they're much more likely to say no again. So you might get, I don't know, 10% of people taking a downsell. And then that basically, these 3 basically complete the like checkout page process. This is all within like 1 minute of checking out. Okay. 1 minute of checkout. Then you have this additional thing, and we've really mastered all of these. I would think downsells are our weakest. We don't really spend a ton of time on downsells because there's not a lot of juice in that. Because if they already said, like I said, if they already said no to the upsell, they're far less likely to say yes to a downsell. And so there's much more money in mastering order bumps, upsells, and cross sells, which I'll define in a second here. And so we really haven't worried much about downsells very much. We spend a lot of time on these. Cross sells, we do really well. We had an entire product ecosystem. And basically, a cross sell is when you use one product to pitch another. So if you've ever ordered something from like a small business on Amazon and you opened it up and there was a little insert on more products you could buy, that's a cross sell. If you buy Etsy people do it really well too. Where you buy something like, by the way, you can get all these things. And so we do all the time in our courses and our digital products. We'll recommend and pitch additional products very well in our other products. And so we've created this massive ecosystem of products that all pitch each other. And that's why, I mean, just to share our numbers, we have a 60% repeat customer rate, meaning our customers buy from us 60% of the time, when our industry average is like 15 to 30%. So if a regular business, 50% of them will buy again, ours are 60%. So we have an extremely high repeat customer rate, and it's because we're very, very, very good at the cross sells. We make a lot of money from that. Okay, so what I want to do is talk about 2 things every order bump, cross sell, down sell, like the whole shebang, every upgrade needs. So 2 things these upgrades need. Again, remember, worth mastering, this is your profit. So 1, it needs speed of implementation. People will pay more to get the result faster. We live in an instant gratification world. They will pay more to get the result faster. So I had this course called Passive Income with Instagram. So Passive Income with Instagram. I have this thing called Hyperspeed Mode, which is where it's the same course, but I compress the timeline. So if it took you like 30 days, I teach you how to get it in 7. That feels really well. It's a really good upsell because they're getting the same thing they bought, just faster. That's a good one. So speed of implementation is it's good. And then done for you is really important too. So done for you looks like templates. It looks like scripts. It looks like I have a bunch of clonable automations. So my clonable automations, those kinds of things do really well because I did the work for you. You know, why wouldn't you love having something like that? And so every upgrade, because sometimes people will make an upgrade or like an order bump or a cross sell or whatever, and it'll still like basically the same product, slightly different. All that does, if it doesn't have these 2 elements, all it does is piss people off because they're like, why am I being offered a better version of the thing I just purchased? But if you offer speed of implementation, like, hey, you have this amazing thing, it's going to be incredible. Do you want it even faster? That's an option. And then like, hey, you have this incredible thing. Do you want us to do some of the work for you? So you never want to upgrade to detract or to hurt the thing they just bought. Because all that's going to do is piss them off, and they're not going to buy from you over again. Like you said, like, oh, this guy, he gives me a time, and then he offers me the better thing after I've already paid him. So it really leaves a bad taste in people's mouth if you do it the wrong way. But do it this way, they're happy, they're excited. People love my upsells. They love everything that I have because I do a really good job of not detract. Like anything you buy is going to be incredible. It's, do you want it to get a little faster, or do you want me to do something a little fully? Which honestly also gets the result faster. So either way, there's a lot of like speed done for you with the Instagram application. Okay, so I want to share with you all the different places we pitch our other products. So this is specifically like a cost. Well, this is a kind of a combination of all of them. So right after they buy the first product, we pitch additional products. And I'm going to talk about pitching in a second because you might be thinking like, I don't like to pitch this much. It doesn't feel good, but if you do it right. So we pitch right after they buy the first product. That's your upsell. Then after they've gone to the entire upsell funnel, we pitch again on the thank you page. So it's a totally different pitch with additional products. We pitch as a video pitch towards the end of the course. If you take a course, there's like a video pitch for the next thing after you've completed the course. We do a sidebar ad in the course video. So like in the back end, we host our courses on Kajabi. And Kajabi has like a little area where you can pitch additional products. We have several of those there. We had automatic emails that are sent after they buy the first products. It's like, hey, you might also like blah, blah, blah. And we do a really good job of just, and I'll say something that we do really well, like a good job cost sounding, in that when I'm filming a course, when I make a piece of content, I make sure to just reference a product that is out there in my ecosystem, in my world for you to buy. Never would talk about it. I'll never say buy my, it doesn't feel good. Which really leads me to one of the main things when you do orders, upsells, downsells, cross-sells, it can never feel like you're pitching. If it feels like you're pitching, it's a really big turnoff and people tense up and they don't want to buy. And so what I do is I always frame it as an invitation. And I truly mean that. Like I actually really do feel that energetically. If it's a really good fit, you want to learn more and you want to come to my world, you want me to show you some amazing things, amazing. But it's also totally okay if you just consume my free content and you never buy anything. 99% of people in my world do not buy from me, and they learn and they be funny and they give me, Ria, you're real. Help me. Like I have people who like their YouTube videos that I just watched, maybe $30,000 on my watch. Amazing. She never paid me a penny, and I don't know if she ever will, and that's totally okay. 90% of the people in my world never buy from me, never pay. And I truly am okay with that deep down in my like energetic game. And I think that energy really comes across because then I'll say something like, by the way, like if you want to grab like foldable automations, you can link in the description. And so it's very casual, it's very off-canned, it's very genuine. And it really is like the invitation to a party. Hey, you want to come? Amazing. You can make it. Let me know. I'll see you in the description, right? Because you can't, I'm also totally okay. And I think that my ease around pitching and my ease around that invitation really helps the process not feel like an awkward pitch. It just feels like a natural extension of what I've already talked about, which is a huge key in really upgrading customers or continuing the customer experience. So there you have it. We did day 1. We did day 2. We did day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. We completed all of the days. If you need more support, I recommend you watch some of my videos on YouTube. I go into very specific things. If you want to learn more about this, you can deep dive. You also can check out the courses I've created. There's certainly no, like I said, there's never any pressure to. But I do a very good job in my courses of breaking down very specific how-tos of all of this in even greater depth. So if you want to check it out, you can. Otherwise, I will see you on my YouTube videos. I will see you out there. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you out there.